In our study of Torah, we're covering the Exodus. There are moments in human history where God steps into time, not merely to speak, but to deliver. And the Exodus is one of those moments. It begins not with triumph, but with suffering. A people enslaved under the sun of Egypt, a nation that had forgotten Joseph, forgotten mercy, and forgotten that power without compassion becomes tyranny. The children of Israel groaned under the weight of their bondage, their backs bent under bricks, their hands raw from the lash, their songs turned to silence. And yet, even in their suffering, heaven listened. Scripture says, "And God heard their groaning, and God remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Jacob." Those words are more than history. They are revelation, that no cry is ever lost in the ears of God. Every tear shed in secret echoes in the throne room of eternity. When God called Moses from the burning bush, it was not simply to free slaves, it was to reveal himself. For centuries, Egypt had worshipped the pantheon of gods, deities of the sun, the river, the harvest, and death. But in the wilderness fire, a great voice spoke, "I am that I am." The Eternal One, not a God made by men, but the God who made men. Moses was reluctant, as every true servant of God tends to be. But divine calling does not depend on human confidence. It depends on obedience. And with a shepherd's staff in hand, Moses stood before Pharaoh, the most powerful man on earth, and declared words that still shake kingdoms today. "Thus saith the Lord, let my people go." It was not merely a command, it was a confrontation between heaven and empire, between light and darkness, between freedom and fear. The plagues that followed were not random acts of destruction. Each one struck the heart of Egypt's idols, the Nile, the cattle, the sun, even the very breath of Pharaoh's son. God was dismantling Egypt's theology, proving that no false god can stand before his sovereignty. And then, the night of the Passover, a lamb was slain. Its blood was brushed upon the doorpost of every believing household. Death passed over where the blood was seen. Judgment and mercy intertwined in one sacred act, a foreshadowing of the Lamb that was to come. There are moments in human history when God steps into time not merely to speak, but to deliver. And the Exodus is one of those moments. It begins not with triumph, but with suffering. Then came the Exodus itself, the march from bondage to promise. A nation of former slaves walked out of Egypt's gates, led not by chariots or armies, but by the presence of God, a pillar of cloud by day and fire by night. Imagine that sight. The dust of millions' footsteps rising like incense, the cries of children mingling with songs of deliverance, the chains of centuries falling into the sand. And yet freedom was not instant perfection. The wilderness became a classroom. For 40 years, God taught them what Egypt never could, how to be a people of faith instead of fear, in covenant instead of captivity. They learned to trust manna more than their own strength, to follow a pillar instead of a map, and to worship a God they could not see, but who was always near. The Red Sea moment stands as the defining miracle of the Exodus. Hemmed in by the waters ahead and the armies behind, the people panicked, as we often do when deliverance seems impossible. But Moses lifted his staff, and God split the sea. Not by human force, not by clever escape, but by divine intervention. The waters parted, and Israel walked through on dry ground. Freedom is never man's achievement, it is always God's gift. And when the waves closed behind them, Pharaoh's empire drowned not just in water, but in pride. For every oppressor who raises himself against the purposes of God will find himself standing on sinking ground. The Exodus is not simply the story of a nation, it is the story of all who believe. Each of us has our Egypt, the place of bondage, of sin, of fear, of the false gods that promise pleasure but deliver chains. And each of us must come to our Red Sea, the place where faith must either move forward or die in fear. But the same God who split the waters then still makes a way now. The blood of the Lamb still covers, the Spirit still leads, and the Word still delivers. For the God of Moses has not changed. He still hears the cry of the oppressed, still topples tyrants, and still causes people out of darkness into marvelous light. The Exodus reminds us that freedom is not the end, it is the beginning of covenant. God did not lead Israel out just to escape Egypt, but to bring them to Himself, to give them His law, His presence, and His promise. Because deliverance without devotion is only half the journey. So when we read of the parted sea and the burning bush, we are not reading ancient history. We are hearing the heartbeat of divine purpose. For the same God who led them by fire and cloud still leads us now, from bondage to blessing, from slavery to sonship, and from death to life. And when He says, "Let my people go," it is not merely a demand to the pharaohs of the world. It is a promise to every soul still longing for freedom, that no chain is too strong, no night too dark, and no wilderness too wide for the God who delivers. The Exodus is not over. It continues in every heart that chooses faith over fear, obedience over comfort, and God over Egypt. For the journey out of bondage is the journey toward Him. I hope you enjoyed it, and please follow for more of the Torah studies. God bless you.